Okay, assalamu alaikum. Sorry about the little problem that we had, technical difficulties. So, two people are praying. One person, their intention is for the sake of Allah. The other person, their intention is because their friends pray, their parents pray, it's part of their culture, etc., etc. So that's the difference in intention in Islam, the sincerity of your intention for the sake of Allah alone, your ikhlas. In actions, it means if you go to the bathroom and you intend to do wudu and you wash your hands, you've done wudu. But if you go to wash your hands simply for hygiene, it doesn't count as part of wudu. You have to make the intention to do wudu. And so you could go all day and not eat and drink. Like I'm going all day and I'm so busy, I forget to eat and drink. But I'm not fasting unless I make an intention to do so. And so in your daily, any fast you make in the year, nafila, non-obligatory fast, that is any fast outside of Ramadan, any time in the day, as long as you haven't eaten and drinking, as long as you haven't eaten or drunk anything, you can make the intention and you can begin fasting. But in the month of Ramadan, you cannot. You have to intend before Fajr, before dawn. Now the question is, do you have to do that every day or only one intention a month? And the answer is you only have to intend one time, and that is because Allah Almighty said, فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمَ الشَّهْرَ فَيَصُومْ. Whoever among you lives to see this month or witnesses this month must fast it. And so your intention must be to fast Ramadan. And so once you form the intention to fast Ramadan, as long as you don't break that, then you have intended to fast Ramadan. You don't have to keep intending over and over again. But what's it mean to intend? Do you have to get up sometime in the night and say, nawaitu an asumu shahra Ramadan? No. I intend to fast the month of Ramadan? No. What does it mean to intend to fast the month of Ramadan? It means you say, hey, Ramadan is coming. Let me look at the calendar. Let me call the mosque. Let me see what day Ramadan is. What time is Fajr? I know, because you've got to fast before Fajr. Oh, I want to make sure to get up early so I can eat something for suhoor before Fajr. And so you find people calling the mosque, looking at calendars, looking at their watches. That means only one thing. They intend to fast the month of Ramadan. And so if you intend to fast the month of Ramadan, Allah decreed that in the month of Ramadan, when the sun goes down, after the sun has set below the horizon, then you may eat and drink until you see the light of dawn. That is until Fajr time, the time of Fajr on the Islamic Center calendar, inshallah, if you're here in the Richmond area. And so as long as it's the month of Ramadan and you intend to fast the month of Ramadan, and you are kind of looking at the calendar, looking at your watch, finding out about the days and the times, that means that's your intention. So you have done your intention. There's not anything else you need to do or say. You just follow through. And so your intention to fast the month of Ramadan, it impacts your aqidah. That is, you're doing it for the sake of Allah, not to show off, not because your family and friends do it, not to tell people, oh, I'm fasting, I'm so hungry, oh, I'm so pious, I'm such a good person, I'm so, no, you're doing it for the sake of Allah. So you keep a smile on your face, you don't complain, you don't walk around, like with your hand on your stomach, etc. But you try to be very patient. So that's in your aqidah, your sincerity of belief, or ikhlas for the sake of Allah Ta'ala. And for fiqh, or Islamic jurisprudence, it means that before dawn of the first day of Ramadan, you find out that, hey, tomorrow is Ramadan, and in your mind, you tell yourself, without necessarily putting it into words, you say, oh, tomorrow's Ramadan, I'm going to fast. You don't have to say that. You don't have to say it in Arabic or English or any language, but you just form the intention that I'm going to fast tomorrow. I better look on the calendar and see what time Fajr is, etc., etc. So now you have intended not to fast one day, you have intended to fast the month of Ramadan. Now, the only thing that would break that is if you broke your intention to fast the month of Ramadan. And so if you change your mind, for example, you became ill, then you change your intention. That's halal because Allah, yurid Allahu bikum al-yusr wa la yuridu bikum al-usr. Allah wants it to be easy for you, not a hardship, so you can make up the fast in another day. But now you broke your intention to fast, and so you have to make up that day and any subsequent days. And then when you feel better, you make a new intention to fast the next days, inshallah, when you're going to be fasting, inshallah. Or if you went on a trip or for some other reason, you broke your intention, then on a subsequent day, you would have to make a new intention, inshallah ta'ala. So let's look at a couple more questions while we have time, inshallah. Now, I don't want to repeat questions that we looked at Monday. What am I supposed to do if I don't wake up for suhoor on time? Do you still fast that day, or should you make up for fasting for that day after Ramadan is over? So what am I supposed to do if I don't wake up for suhoor? So suhoor is the pre-dawn meal. That's an extra special gift that Allah gives us. So the Sahaba used to, after their iftar, they would, as soon as they went to sleep, they would never eat anything. And so, they used to be up from Fajr working very hard. And so they'd be really exhausted. They would eat something for iftar, then they would fall asleep. And if they woke up at night, they're hungry, they say, oh, I can't eat anything. So Allah revealed to them that they're able to eat and drink until dawn, until Fajr time. That is, till the minute it is on the calendar, inshallah. And so suhoor is a gift to make things easy for us. It's not fard, it's not an obligation, but it's a recommended thing so that you don't suffer too much. It's good to be a little bit hungry and thirsty, but not so much that it makes you sick or uncomfortable. And so if you would like to, and you are recommended to, wake up before Fajr, a few minutes or whatever time is convenient for you, and eat something and drink something to keep you feeling comfortable throughout the day, inshallah, in your fasting. But if you fell asleep and you didn't wake up until Fajr, your fasting is perfectly good. You start fasting when you wake up. Yes, you miss suhoor, but it's not a requirement that you eat it. It's only a recommendation. And like I said, if you fell asleep intending to wake up, but then you didn't wake up, you don't need to make a new intention before Fajr. And so if you fell asleep after Maghrib or Isha or whatever, accidentally, and you didn't wake up till Isha, your fasting the next day is perfectly good, inshallah ta'ala. You don't need to make a new intention at all. Somebody else asked, what about hugging your wife or husband? That is your legitimate spouse, inshallah, not something inappropriate. So in Islam, it's absolutely forbidden to have jama'a, that is to have sexual intercourse during the daytime of Ramadan. When you are fasting, if you were to do that, you would nullify your fast. And so you should not do anything that will lead you to lose control of the situation and break your fast with your spouse. Or, of course, especially with somebody who is not your spouse. So it's allowed in Islam to hug your spouse or kiss your spouse. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, would hug and kiss his wife when he was fasting, but he did not allow himself to go farther because he was in control of himself. So if you and your spouse can express your affection physically and resist the temptation to go too far and to cross the line, then you're not doing anything wrong. And so basically, what is normal of a affectionate kiss or hug that does not lead to excess, does not lead to heavy relations, inshallah. And so people know themselves and they know their abilities, and some people can't control themselves, and so they should avoid that. But kissing and hugging your mom or dad or sister or brother, if you can kiss or hug your wife and in that kind of way that is customary between people and ordinary, that's fine. But if it becomes something that's going to lead you astray, you should try not to do that. But the only thing that will violate your fast is to go all the way in that. But you should definitely not allow yourself to get even close to that, inshallah. And so there are lots of questions here. Vomiting. So vomiting, I think we talked about that. Vomiting means, of course, bringing up your food. And so if you became ill and it led to very great vomiting, that's going to break your fast. But a small amount, like something that would come up in your throat and just enter into your mouth, but will not come out of your mouth, but will only just be inside of your mouth, that doesn't break your fast. But if your mouth became very full and it became very excessive, that will break your fast. And that's an illness. And so Allah excuses you, and you can make that up another day, inshallah. But what will also break your fast is somebody who intentionally does that. So if you intentionally make yourself vomit, that's forbidden, and that does also violate your fast. So once again, if you accidentally burped up a small amount of food into your throat or into your mouth, you can just spit that food out or rinse your mouth out with some water or something like that to remove the taste. And if you feel okay, you can keep fasting, inshallah. And if you feel ill, you can break your fast. But if you had a violent vomiting that comes out and it's filling more than would fill your mouth, and it's, that's an illness. And so that's going to break your fast, and Allah knows best. What about brushing your teeth fasting? What about using toothpaste? Brushing your teeth is absolutely halal. Of course, it's recommended, mustahab or mandub, to brush your teeth with a miswak, the natural toothbrush, as the Prophet did, peace be upon him. And it's also recommended, if you don't have access to that, or even if you do, you can use a toothbrush with or without toothpaste. If you use a small amount of toothpaste and spit that out and are careful not to swallow that, is halal. What breaks your fast is intentionally swallowing, drinking, or eating, but accidentally doing so does not. And so definitely, if you were to do that, use a very small amount of it so that you are not going to have a hard time from keeping it from swallowing it, inshallah. What about saliva? Swallowing your saliva, whatever comes up naturally in your body, swallowing that does not break your fast in any way. I know people who heard otherwise, and they spend the whole day, it enters into your mind, and then they spend the whole day worrying about swallowing, and it became a torture for them. And of course, it's totally natural throughout the day. uh, your body is sending saliva into your throat, into your mouth, and swallowing that is nothing, it doesn't do anything. Um, Getting a shot or something doesn't violate your fasting as long as it doesn't make you sick or ill. What violates your fasting is eating or drinking or getting nutrition. So getting an IV is providing nutrition into your bloodstream or something that would be a feeding tube into your stomach. That is not allowed. That breaks your fast. But getting a flu shot or something like that does not. Taking eye drops doesn't violate your fast. If the eye drop somehow it got into your throat, that does not violate your fast. It was unintentional. Nose drops also don't do it, but only in the beginning part of your nose. Because if you put it deeply, it will go into your throat. And that's why the Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, told us when we're making istinshaq, when we are snorting water in wudu, in ablutions, into our nose, we do that deeply. But in Ramadan, we do not. We just put it in the beginning part of our nose, not deeply. So if you do that in the beginning part of your nose, that's not going to break your fast. And if you accidentally get something that goes into your throat, that also does not break your fast. It's accidental, inshallah. If somebody has a disease and they have to take medication by their mouth or in the daytime, and then they are breaking their fast. They have to take the medication before Fajr or after Maghrib. If they cannot do it, they have to take the medication orally in the daytime hours between the times of Fajr and Isha. Then they pay compensation, inshallah, feeding a poor person for that day, inshallah. Swimming in Ramadan, once again, does not violate your fast. Just try not to swallow water. Any of us, who swallows like seawater intentionally or swimming pool water intentionally? You shouldn't swallow it. But of course, if that happened accidentally, it does not violate your fast, inshallah ta'ala. Putting lip gloss or balm on your lips doesn't matter whether it's flavored or not. Tasting something with your lips or tasting it on your tongue does not violate your fast. What violates your fast is eating and drinking, which means swallowing food and drink so that it goes into your digestive system. That is what breaks your fast. Or taking something by mouth, or taking something nutritional by an IV or any other way. Chewing gum, when you chew gum, it causes you, of course, to bring up a lot of saliva and probably going to make you thirsty, so it's probably not a good idea. But the gum has sugar in it normally and flavorings, and that sugar is a food substance, so you shouldn't swallow that. And so if you're chewing, your mouth is going to fill with that and you're going to be digesting that flavor. If it's an unflavored gum, like a natural gum, it doesn't have anything that you're going to swallow, then it's okay because you're not swallowing anything. And finally, the last question here, what if I have a really important test? Well, Ramadan itself is a really important test for all of us. And if you think you can't fast you can't take a test while you were fasting. I took many exams in college and stuff while I was all day exams fasting. and I didn't have a problem. If you're going to have a problem, then you should seek an exemption. You have a religious exemption and a religious right. And so you should get an excuse, inshallah, so that you can fast the month of Ramadan and not break the fast, inshallah ta'ala. May Allah Almighty guide you and guide all of us to all of the good and benefit of Ramadan for our lives and for our hereafter. Barakallahu feek. Allah bless you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.